can keep going. We're going to go ahead and get started.
Please do.
Okay. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have the roll call, please?
Shoemaker.
Here.
Vaughn.
Here.
Hirschberger.
Here.
Zollers.
Here.
Kellogg.
Here.
Hofstetter.
Here.
Okay, our community calendar this Saturday, Hop Around Millersburg. We're going to hear more about that shortly. And April 3rd is our first Friday kickoff in downtown, and I think we're probably going to hear about that too. Yeah. Okay, do we have any updates on the 250th from last week? No? Okay, all
I'll
right.
give you an update on ours.
Okay, that's farther in.
Okay?
Okay, but thank you for that. We will go with Pathmaster. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
All right, we are finally here. So. Let me get rid of this. And you guys will be able to see. So, thank you for having us back. Nathan had asked, not the best view.
Do we need
Nathan.
Come right now.
Should be much
Can you
better.
see better than I do?
Yeah,
Here we go.
Better?
Getting better or worse? There we go.
That's good.
Nathan had asked us to come in and talk about the cameras about 7, 8 months ago. We put the cameras up for you guys, and now he's asked if we would come in and talk about an adaptive system to help. So first thing we did, when we found this, when we put this in, we were shocked to learn the amount of volume you guys have going through town.
Yeah.
No clue that you guys would be seeing 35 to 40,000 vehicles a day going
Yep.
through your town. So, and I wish you guys could see this much more clear, but we can't. So we'll just switch over to another one, and it should restart back up again. What we do is we're able to track all the vehicles as they come through each and every intersection. We're able to track how many trucks there are, how many bicyclists, how many cars, how many pedestrians. And that gives us a really good idea of what's happening in your city and what's happening at each and every intersection. So we've been collecting that data now for about 6 or 7 weeks. If we were to do an adaptive system, and what an adaptive system would do is it would take all the data that we're currently collecting, and it would give us some new timing plans. So what we have down here is these are the timing plans that we're currently running over here. Here's the Curex timing plans of which they think that you guys should run. That's all built off of an algorithm. We collect the historical data, and then we're also taking live data, and then they give us the timing plans of what they feel would help us to be able to move traffic much better throughout the city. And if you guys wanted to see that, I have another presentation where I can actually show you how that all works. But our goal would be to move traffic along your main route more effectively. What that means is that we would come in here and we would give you guys new timing plans once a week. And those timing plans would work 24/7. But when the traffic got really bad, adaptive would kick in, and it would start making changes pretty much on every cycle to 2 cycle changes. So if we're seeing a tremendous amount of traffic on your intersection, main route, we would start to take a little bit of time away from the side street, and we would give more time to the main line. And what that do is give us an ability to get more vehicles through. So how your intersections are set up is, this is 2 and 6, these are your main lines, and then we have 4 and 8. Those are just called phases. So we would give more traffic, more time to the 2 and 6, and we would take traffic away from your 4 and 8. And I can walk you through how all that works and how we do that. Then once we've collected all that data, every single week we would go back in and we'd readjust your guys' timing plans based on what we've seen this week and what we do next week. Usually within the first 4 or 5 weeks, we're going to have those changes down to minute seconds. So the first couple of weeks, we may see change of anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds per approach as we start getting timing plans really honed in. We've done well over 100 different adaptive systems in Ohio. We're very good at what we do. It's all based on setup. And when we're setting this up, we would work with Nathan and anybody else who was interested in understanding what is it that you guys want to focus on. So we can go into settings and that in here, and I'll bring it up real quick. That's part of my next project. Let's go ahead and pull it up. So this is the system you guys have in there now. So, in order for us to make changes, we would go into the key benefits. I can't see that, so sorry. Just let me move one inch. Make sure I get it. We would establish our fixed time of day plans, which I told you guys we would adjust about every week. And then we would put in an adaptive single timing hybrid strategy, which would change pretty much on a cycle by cycle. Every time the light changes, we may actually increase or decrease your reds and greens. What this does will give us a reduction in delay and a time to clear the queue. So we're looking at how many cars do we get out of there? Were we able to get the entire queue of cars through that signal before it turned red? If we didn't, then we would work with Nathan and we would say, is it important that we clear that queue every single time, or is it more important for the side streets? So I was watching today, I probably spent a couple hours watching. A majority of the time during the day, we were able to clear the queue on your main line. So, and they were way back. I was watching, I mean, I could barely see some of the vehicles, but we were able to clear that queue almost every time. So that was very good without having to sacrifice the side streets. But at 5 o'clock, that queue gets even longer. So we need to make a decision. Is it 40 cars, is it 50 cars, or 60? What do you guys want to do before I turn it like yellow and then red in order to service the side streets? So what we do though is we're looking at arrivals on green and the saturated flow rate. So how many vehicles am I getting through on a regular basis? It is scalable, so we can do it. We could do one signal, or we could do all three of them together. That's based on what we want to do. My guess is we want to try to hook all three signals together, have them start green at the same time or real close, and have them stay green the entire time, and then we service the side streets while all the main line is going to be red. What we're trying to do here is we're taking all of our history, and then we're also taking our real-time data sharing, so we're collecting what's actually happening at the intersection, and then we're predicting on when cars are going to arrive on green. So the first signal to the last signal, we know when those cars were, when the light turned green, and we know based on speed when they should be arriving at the next intersection. We want to make sure that light is green for at least 5 or 10 seconds before they arrive to start clearing out the queue, and then getting ready for the next wave of vehicles that came from the previous intersection. And what we're able to do though, in order to do that though, we have to suppress the side streets a little bit. We have to keep them red longer than we normally would in a regular time of day plan. But I think that being able to do the main line is the most important part, so that's what we want to do. I have it's a movie here. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but it's not the best. Well, let me run this real quick for you. That's going to be on the next one, sorry. I want to show you guys this movie because it shows you exactly what we're doing. So it's not showing up, I'm not using that, so we'll just forget about it, but I'll tell you, what we do is, we can see the cars taking off here, we're tracking them all the way through here, and then we start turning this light red about 8 or 9 seconds beforehand, and then you'll see that traffic actually show up. So our goal is to get from here all the way through without stopping vehicles. Once we've done the majority of that, then we'll go ahead and do your side streets. What we're able to do, and this is a project down in Florida that they did, they were able to reduce the overall delay by 25% on this 3 intersection corridor. That means that cars had to stop 25% less of the time. It's also reduces the amount of time to clear the queue, which that means is, you know, all these other vehicles, we get them out of the way for the last wave to come in. And we were able to increase your travel time by 40%. So our goal, get cars through your town quicker, faster, and safer. One of the things that this helps to do also, and I'm not sure this is of all importance to you guys, when you don't have cars stopping, you reduce emissions, you reduce cost of sitting there or everything else. So there is a financial value to the people who are driving through your city to not have to sit and do all that. And believe it or not, a lot of cities are actually calculating that out and reporting it. So if you guys needed that, that's actually part of our analytics, and we can give you guys that. So, what we're trying to do is, this is the old system that we were running. You see the big green time here? All the little black dots are vehicles actually arriving. So we had a lot of vehicles arriving on red. Then we had a spattering of vehicles go through on green, but you can see it's pretty spread out. Then we have vehicles arriving on yellow and then red again. Our goal is, for this 3 intersections, is to get the majority of the cars into green. Smaller amount in red, back to green, back to red, but we wanna do it a little bit quicker, maybe faster, to make sure that we get cars through there and they all arrive on the green, because that's the most important thing. We can set it up to try to get to that point where we have very few vehicles arriving on red, still be able to service the side streets by maybe making shorter green times, but more frequent, and that way we get them through and everybody's happy. We guys don't get complaints. Some of the adaptive systems out there will run like this for long periods of time with a green, and then all the reds, have to sit forever. You get a lot of complaints that way, people aren't happy. So our goal is to try to get them through here on green and track all that and see how well we did. Next week, if we had too many cars coming in on yellow and red, maybe make some fine adjustments and handle that. It's a quarter-wide metrics. We're always going to be tracking delay. We're going to be tracking the difference in delay, the CO2, the process, total time to process equivalent volume. So how many did we process before we put it out to bin? How many did we process after? And were we able to actually give you guys a good movement of vehicles? Our big goal though is we want to give reliability so that your constituents driving through here are getting used to how the traffic pattern works. If we start changing things by 40 seconds or 50 seconds every other day, you are going to get complaint after complaint because people are creatures of habit. They are used to pulling up to the light, waiting 45 seconds, getting a green light. If we adjust it too much, then they're going to start complaining about it, and we see that a lot. So our goal is to make it so we can keep it pretty consistent, not making huge changes, small tweaks here and there, so that they don't even notice it, and then you guys get less phone calls. We've put a couple in down in Cincinnati area where it was changing 45, 50 seconds every 6, 7 cycles, and they were inundated with calls and immediately called back and we had to change everything. But what we're trying to do, and we could give you guys all these different metrics to show you guys how we did it. We're trying to reduce wait time, increase arrivals on green, which means when you arrive at the intersection. Our saturated flow rate, that is how many vehicles we're servicing in the green. So you can see they tracked all this. Our wait time, this is when the adaptive system kicked in. You can see it was kind of spread out, it was a little high, and then now all of a sudden our wait time went down. Over here, arrivals on green, it doesn't look like a big difference, but that's about a 5% improvement in arrivals on green. Saturated flow rates, you can see that we spread it out a little bit, and they actually all went up. And then total delay went way down over here. So we can give you these reports on a daily basis if you guys want them, so you can see how things are working. I don't know why I keep skipping too. But the start of the quarter experience, a significant drop of delay in wait times. So once again, we go through, we give you guys all the reports, and this is just not showing up because it's not coming through, but every one of these, the charts go down. You can see them as they go down. We're doing a grand total of, we reduced 29 hours of delay on this one quarter in one day. The daily savings was $1,008 and avoided emissions was 584 pounds. So we can report that to you guys however you want it. So here's what I was talking about. We'll work with Nathan to figure out how we want to do this. Number one, we have a training period before we put this in. And another thing is how often do we want to run optimization? Our suggestion is once a week. So maybe every Sunday we go through and put new timing plans in. We will set that up so it only changes a small amount. So that's why we usually do it for 6 or 8 weeks until we get to where we want it to be. And then we want to figure out, is it northwest that you guys want to do or east-west, north-south or east-west that you guys want to make a priority, and we will go ahead and weight that for that. And then how much do pedestrians count? So are you guys worried about pedestrians when they push that button? Do you want them to delay and wait, or do you guys want to get them an immediate green walk signal? And we can do that, but that's all weighted in when we build this thing. I was surprised, you guys have about 300 people crossing that crosswalk on a daily basis, so it was surprising how many people actually go across there. And we do track that, and all the information is available if you guys need it. So what we do then is we go in and we time select our grid, we pick out how we want to do that, we do our split tables, and these are all things that we would help Nathan set up. Our cycle length, we kind of set limits on how long each cycle could be or how short each cycle could be. And then we do some manual editing, and I apologize, you guys can't see any of this or I go through all this with you. So once again, we take our historical data, we put it in with the real-time traffic that we're getting right now. We put in with our pedestrian awareness that Nathan will tell us how we want to do that. And then we also have a fail-safe mode, which means if anything were to happen, we automatically just fail right back to our normal timing pattern, so we never get to a point where it's, everything's locked up. Here's where we go in and we start setting up some of our weighted averages. So we could do a maximum cycle length, we can set it for 280 seconds, we can set it for 120 seconds, it really matters how you guys wanna look at it. Our green range, if we're getting a lot of cars, how much time do we wanna actually extend it? Pedestrian priority, if you guys have one intersection that's really heavy, then we'll set that at 70, 80% rather than setting it at 10 or 20%. But that'll just mean that the light turns red more often. Force call detector, so if you guys get side streets and we start getting 4, 5, 6 cars backed up, you guys may choose to let's service that side street and get rid of those cars. If it's just 1 car or 2 cars, you may decide, hey, let's let it sit there for a little while. But we can pre-program all of that to make sure you guys are comfortable with how you want to do it. Let's go one more. So we have one of the things that we don't want to do, though, too much arterial coordination, and that means your main drive, can create problems for side streets. We know that, and we'll work with Nathan to figure out how we want to do that. We've already kind of talked about that. Balancing force-offs and force calls. What that means is if there's somebody sitting in the left turn and the end of the cycle comes, we call that a force-off where it's going to turn red, he's not going to get an opportunity to go. We can balance that to go ahead and give them another left turn before it turns red. We can do all of that with our adaptive system, but it's just something that we need to set up. The last thing you want to do is have cars sitting in that left turn and not get through. They have to wait one full cycle. And it makes people mad, and then what happens is if there's too many cars there, they'll spill back into the main line, and then now your main line can't come back up to the actual intersection. And I'm sure you guys see that if you have a big truck or two in there. We want to get those cars out of the left turn, and we want to get them through if we can on that green, and we'll work with Nathan to see if you guys can want to do that, and we'll make sure that it's set up that way. But the worst thing that can happen is what we call downstream blockage, where cars get blocked because we don't get enough cars through the green light on the left turn, and now nobody gets through the signal. It just creates more and more havoc. And I don't know why I skipped twice, but once again, we have a fail-safe mode, which means preview only. We'll go through all the new timing plans with Nathan and let him approve them before we put them in. And I think that was the end of that. So our system is very configurable. Like I said, we've set up over 100 of these already. We've got plenty of experience doing it. We would work with you guys to make sure that we would set it up the way we felt was best for the city based on criteria that Nathan would give us. And then we're going to be there to hold your guys' hand forever, to tell you the truth. We've got customers who've had adaptive systems in now for 5 years, and we still meet with them on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to go over, make sure that it's still working the way they'd expect it. Usually what we'll do is we'll get with Nathan, we'll get a new system put in, we'll meet with you the first week, set up some criteria, turn on the system, finish collecting data, and then within 2 to 3 weeks, we'd probably go ahead and put new timing plans in. At that point, we would watch it on an hourly basis to make sure we're not screwing anything up. But then after that week, we'd meet with Nathan, we'd make some tweaks to it, and that would happen for 5 to 6 weeks until we finally just let it run by itself for a while to make sure it's working well. Still watch it, but we're done making tweaks because our changes were pretty small.
Once you get to that point, is it pretty much it then, as far as the tweaking?
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
5, 6 weeks?
So you guys can't grow your downtown area. So we have this in Lancaster. I don't know if you guys know where Lancaster, Ohio is. Lancaster's probably our biggest user of an adaptive system. We still meet with them on a weekly basis, and they've had it in for almost 2 years now. They are making changes on a weekly basis because they're putting new buildings in. They've got new schools going in, they've got hospitals, all these other things that add overall volume. Your volume seems pretty steady now for the last 4 or 5 weeks, so we're somewhere between 35 and 40. If you guys were to put in a new, big, huge plant or something that added another 2,000 cars, then we'd probably want to go back in and tweak it again.
Okay.
But I think we've got a pretty good handle on what your traffic looks like now over the last 6 weeks, and it shouldn't be that hard to go ahead and set up. If you guys want, I can go back and actually show you some of the data we've collected off your cameras. Have you shared that all with the volumes in that, Nathan?
We talked about it a little bit, but not, I haven't shown them.
We're actually shocked at the total volumes you guys are
Nate,
getting.
we haven't hit tourist season yet,
No.
so there's gonna be more traffic.
Yeah.
So One of the nice things about the camera system you guys bought, well, this is the actual intersection and it's live. This is an actual live intersection. It'll show you where your vehicles are going. It'll bring up your camera view for you guys. But what's really neat is the reports that it gives you guys. You guys will never have to do another traffic study as long as you guys own these cameras because everything is already supplied for you. This is for the last 7 days. I'm just gonna bring this with me. So,
have you ever done a traffic study with a consultant or an engineer?
Yeah.
So you know how costly that is?
Yeah.
yeah, they're about 7,000
Right.
intersections, so. But when it'll go through and tell you what your total volumes are for each road, and it'll tell you what your current one is versus your previous, so you can kind of see how each week went. It's much easier to see the other way. Volume by camera, so that means by each and every each and every approach. We do volume by capacity. Split fares is what I was talking to you guys about earlier. If we get cars in the left turn and we don't get them out of there when the light's green, this is called a split fare. And what we can go through is we can look at each and every one. If I were to click on these, I would erase them and you could just see one rather than seeing all 8. But we do current periods and the previous periods, so you kind of see how we did week to week. Time to clear the queue, how much time did the car sit there at each light? And our goal is to get that down. Right now, we're still under 20 seconds, which isn't horrible. So the cars aren't sitting out there a long time, but they are out there. And we can go through and do that by camera. We can also do it by time. So if you guys wanted to get later on, you want to look at what's it like at 5 o'clock versus 3 o'clock, we can pull that information up. This is just a rolling average of the day. So I wanted to get down here to where, so here's your saturated full rates. How many vehicles were we able to get through that intersection on the green lights? And then we also do it by camera. And then here's a neat one, is the speed. What's the average speed going through town? So your average speed was about 28 miles an hour for our reporting. So that's not too bad. I mean, is your speed limit 25?
25.
Yeah, so they're actually going 3 miles above the speed limit. So we'll give him something to shoot at some point. So,
Is that an acceptable range?
and then arrivals on green. How many times were people arriving and the light was green? Our goal is always get it up around 100%. These 2 lines down here are going to be your side streets. Once again, we're sacrificing them majority of the time. So as long as they're in the 40 to 60% range, I'm happy. But if we can get it up around 100, that's perfect. You're never going to get 100 because if you did, we'd never service the side streets. But trying to get as close as you can is ideally what we're trying to do. And then your crosswalk activity. You can see, it looks like being on the weekends, it probably jumps up, which is what we expect. But it kind of shows which ones that actually the people cross the most. And then, I don't know. So one of the things I like the most about this, we'll give you guys all of your different reports on how many vehicles went through your intersection. So coming from the eastbound, we had 33,932 vehicles go through in the last 7 days. We had 2,442 vehicles that turned left. We had 282 people use the crosswalk there. Over here, we were at 5279. Well, we had 1,100 people use the crosswalk on the side street here in the last 7 days. I had no idea that you guys. And over here, we only had 196. So maybe this is a different area. But and here we had 0. So I'm not sure. Is there not a crosswalk here? Maybe. So let's have to go around.
What intersection is that?
Jackson and Monroe. So
Yeah.
you'd have bags in the brewery on the
Yeah.
northwest corner there.
So
That's where the
Bags.
majority.
That's where the majority of people are walking across from the parking
On
lot,
this one?
No,
So
up at
Up
the
above.
top.
oh, up top.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you can see 1,190. So.
yeah.
So it gives you all everything you guys would need to see that. And then we've got other reports though, so let me go back over here so I can actually. So we can go into.
I know we've thrown a lot of data at you, so what he's throwing this, is there any questions about anything that we've shared as far as terms that you may not understand or any of these reports, any questions to this point? We don't like to just come in here and throw this stuff at you, nobody understands.
When you count vehicles, so a semi could be equivalent to a couple cars, or it still counts as one. How does that work with?
I'm gonna break that down for you right
Okay.
now. So
Okay.
we will then come through and give you even more detailed reporting. You had 72.5% of the vehicles coming through were cars. We had 19% were light trucks. We had buses at 0.2. Heavy trucks come through at 6.7%. Motorcycles at 0.2, bicycles, and then pedestrians were 1%. That's what we counted at that intersection. And we can break that down even farther when we get down into classification, so we kind of break it down per approach and tell you where those vehicles actually coming from. So, were they coming from the south, north, or whatever, so. And then right here, so we do break it down by intersection, and we'll tell you guys how many light cars, trucks, buses, heavy truck for the week. Motorcycles, bicycles, pedestrians, and the grand total was 34,103 at that intersection that we, or at that one approach. We had a grand total of almost 37,000 detected either vehicles or pedestrians at that intersection within the last 7 days. And we do that by camera, by phase, for every single intersection you guys have. So that way, like I said, you guys should never ever have to do another study again. You guys could have all this data, you can give it to a consultant if you want, and say, hey, we'd like to, have somebody look at that, but we do it for each and every one and kind of break it down. So this should be able to tell you guys where all your heavy trucks are coming in and where they're backing up at. So that may be an option where we put more weight to that one approach. If they're all coming from the south or if they're coming from the north, however they come, we can certainly give more weight to that when we're looking at green time. So, and then the last one, which is the most difficult to collect, go ahead.
Okay, pedestrian in the crosswalks. Are the lights adjusted that the people or pedestrians get through before the light turns green? The pedestrian has the right of way.
They do.
But, so,
But
the light will keep it red that those making a right-hand turn
No.
and don't hit the pedestrian?
We could set it up, the controller actually does that, not the cameras or anything else, but we could set the controller up to when the light has been pushed or the bed buttons are pushed, we could put a 5-second delay to let those people get out on the road and start walking before that light turns red. The issue with that is you're wasting 5 seconds of your cycle lane. So, but we do that in a lot of cities. So, especially if your crosswalk is offset, like further down the road. So what happens is people take that right and hit the gas, and then bam, all of a sudden there's a pedestrian. If the crosswalk's right there by where the cars turn, they can see them, and a lot of times they'll just wait for them to get through before they.
Not here.
But many cities will have that back 100, 150 feet. Those cars are up at 40 miles an hour, and all of a sudden there's a pedestrian or a crosswalk, and they have the right of way. So what we do is we put a 5-second delay typically in there, and it's built right into the controller. So as long as that button's been pushed, then they'll get the red light for an extra 5 seconds.
I don't know how many pedestrians have been hit here in the last several months.
Really?
Right.
So,
Nate has brought that up to me, and we are gonna actually look at what you have out there now, the current crosswalks. And Scott and I are gonna give you a quote here about some enhanced lighting opportunities, so when a pedestrian is actively crossing, some measures that we can help you take economically to make sure that that doesn't happen.
is it usually happen at night or during the day when cars?
I think it-
I mean, I can attest to that I walk, so my husband has a law office here, and we walk over to the courthouse a couple of times a day. So it's crossing over there, and I'll tell you the main thing is that people are in that turn. So we're crossing to go up to the courthouse, and people are coming from the west, and they just 4 or 5 cars, even though I've got, that walk thing means nothing. Those are a waste of money.
Well,
So, and the people, so this whole thing, it will be great if it does, but if the people want to hurry up and get through, they don't, I mean, I've been in an orange coat in the intersection, and, they just want to get through. They just want to get through the thing.
well, the hard part for people turning left, is it people turning left that are almost hitting you? Or is it people going straight? What-
Mostly people turning.
Yeah.
There's actually people that go through the red lights also.
Oh.
So, I mean, we have everything here. We have everybody wanting to get a big hurry in a little one-horse town.
Yeah.
So,
So the people turning left though, they actually can't see if you have a walk sign most of the time. They're not paying attention, they're watching the light, they're watching to make sure the
no,
traffic's
but
coming.
the light's red. I mean, yeah, the walk things are useless. The cars aren't looking at that.
Yeah,
But
correct.
once there's people that go through red lights at a turn thing just because 4 or 5 cars want to go through after another.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that won't stop that.
That's your
This
split
can't
figure.
stop that.
Well, you
Well,
can't fake stupid sometimes.
Nope.
It's just the way it
But
is.
what we can try to do is, so we don't have so many split failures, and that's where cars don't get left, they have to sit through another whole cycle. We can try to fix a lot of that through the system, so that we get those cars through there, and you don't have people running red lights. And that's one of the reasons why they run it, is because they sat through 1 or 2 cycles now, and they don't wanna sit through a third. So we monitor the split failures, And you never want a car ever to have to sit more than one time. If they do that, then you've got a bad intersection.
So this should help, I can't guarantee that it's gonna fix that problem.
So, one thing I see on the square a lot is, as the light turns red, especially semis, they wanna make that turn, and so they turn, and the light for the arrow to go the other way, and you can't go. Can there be a delay put in, because the arrow changes so fast? Or can you leave the arrow on longer? Because what happens is, if there's a semi especially, and he's turning, and you got the arrow, by the time he gets past, the arrow's gone.
So you're talking about a left turn, so the truck.
On mainly the square is what I'm
Yeah,
talking
so
about.
if he gets started, he's taking.
Take a while, correct, and by the time he gets through there, so what happens is people get upset,
Yeah.
and then they keep going.
Yeah.
And then the other question I have, and I brought up, our traffic light on the square, the arrow doesn't come on at night, for some reason, whenever they put it in, it's only on for 12 hours a day, it does not go on at night. Will this new system be able to let it, I mean, we have an arrow, and I'm not saying we always need it on, but sometimes when there's events, the arrow's not on at night. I just wonder why we have it in
The new system won't affect that, that's all done in the controller, so somebody programmed that to not be on at
Yeah.
night. We just have to change the programming. So that's
And most
easy.
nights we don't need it, but if you have an event out here at the fairgrounds or something.
We could even, so you guys have communication to your control cabinets, we can get on the controller and work with Nathan and change up our office. So that's easy to do, we can have one of our engineers just go ahead and change that if you guys don't like that, but one thing that we can't do is when you have all those cars sitting in the left turn, so, every signal, we have what we call extending green. So if we see vehicles with our detection, we extend green for 5 seconds, we extend green 5 until we get to a maximum. So we have a cycle length of, let's just say 100 seconds.
Yeah.
We're gonna give 60% of that to the main line. Once we reach 60 seconds, we have to go to the side streets. But we may only set up like 10 seconds for the left turn. But if we see vehicles there, we can extend it 5 seconds, extend it 5 seconds, extend it 5 seconds. But we can do that up to a maximum that we choose, and then once it gets there, they have to go red. That's one way of fixing the issue with the trucks. We see that he's there, we see there's other vehicles behind him. Instead of giving him 8 to 10 seconds left turn, let's extend that to 20. Make sure he gets through it and 1 or 2 other people behind him, so you don't make people mad running a red light. So these are the things that you guys can do with your new, you guys have new controllers that it wasn't possible, with your older stuff. There's a lot of new technology out there and a lot of new capabilities with the controllers that we can fix a lot of those things without anything to do with this. So, and you work with our guys are fantastic, so, they can come out here and do anything. Or, like I said, now that we have communication to your cab, we can actually sit in our office and do that. We don't even have to come out, so it can be worked on pretty quickly.
One other question, so back before you guys did this, every time the light would turn green, the walk sign would come on. So since you did this, the walk signs do not come on anymore going north and south. I'm not saying they have to, but they used to.
So those are programmed in, so when the light turns green,
Yes.
the signs come on. You have push buttons at every intersection, because we walk around it. So I would have definitely taken that off too. What that does is bring a lot of safety issues into it, because as soon as the light turns green, everybody starts
Yeah.
walking. And if you have right turns on red and all that other stuff, you're bringing all those people into risk. So by having to push that button, then it's on. And as for yellow, can't really change those. The 3.4 seconds is the minimum the state allows you to have a yellow. So the yellow light should be up there for 3.4 seconds at a minimum. Some cities go to 4, some cities go to 4.5, just because they have a lot of red light runners. I'm sure your police chief sees that all the time. But it's really based on how much time we have and how busy the intersections are. The consultants will try to shrink that down as much as humanly possible. And that's why the state sets minimums at 3.4. We figure at that point, the people will make a decision, should I run it, or do I have time to stop? And in 3.4 seconds, they should be able to make that decision, down here, this is one of the reports I wanted to show you guys. It's a turning movement count, which is extremely hard to collect. We're gonna tell you every turning movement at this intersection. So, we have 580, we have 5,100 vehicles go straight through, but I don't know why. Do we not turn your turning movements on here? I have to check, Nathan, or maybe this is just a bad intersection, but.
Yeah, if that's still Monroe, there's no protected lefts there.
Okay,
On the side.
Okay, so I can go and pick up another one, but
Yeah,
we're gonna be able to give you every turning movement within the city. It's very difficult, you can't typically go pick that up, without really good protection. And this one does a great job of tracking vehicles as it goes around right, and we can put those numbers in. But they are available if you guys I'm not sure why it's not showing up here, but we'll make sure that it's turned on and that you guys are collecting them. So, did you guys have any questions? I kind of walked through really fast because I know you guys you've got other stuff to talk about, but the adaptive system should help you guys move traffic through here much, much better than what's happening now.
Two things that come to my mind, if we put this in, what do we do with parades? And then also like festivals where we have that intersection will have north and south Monroe shut off with food vendors sitting there. Is there a way to
So we
block the, now I unplug the amplifiers for the loop detectors on the side streets so they're not constantly cycling.
So what we would do is we'd probably program you up to a few timing plans for parades,
Like a
for
special
stuff like you
parade.
have. And then you would just go in and check, I want to run timing plan 12 today,
Okay.
at least for these amount of hours. And then when you're all done with it, you go back and just go back to your normal timing plans. But setting up a timing plan for stuff like that's gonna be a lot better than disconnecting loop amplifiers, hoping that it doesn't change,
Right.
or having a police officer stand there with a pickle. Those are time consuming, it eats up resources. We could easily do that, just setting you guys up some timing plans. And we could even program it to turn on at 3 o'clock on Saturday, or I could turn on at 7 a.m. Saturday morning, turn back off at 11 p.m. Saturday night. So you didn't have to do anything, we could do it for you if you'd like to do that.
Okay.
That's easy. Most cities have 8 to 10 different types of what we call emergency type timing plans. So if you guys do have, bad weather and you want to get people out, emergency evacuation, or for parades, things like that, they have those pre-set up.
Okay.
I think it was pretty resourceful of you.
Just unplug
You
them.
found a way.
It worked.
We do have some different laws in Millersburg or Holmes County that some people believe this. I was told this recently by a member of the community that blew a red light. If you beep your horn going through, it's okay.
Really?
Really. I think anybody should have to go through driver's training to have a driver's license.
I think
I
that's.
remember that next time I'm in town.
Yeah.
Just honk that horn.
I think people should have to go through every 2 years.
So the main thing for me is the money that's already been spent, put up. If we don't spend the money to do this, really, the only thing we got out of the money we spent is just the info.
Well, not really. So now that you have the information, we can go through and help you guys reprogram some signals, things like that, to make it more effective for you guys. Your timing cycles may be too long or too short. We can use this to
Sure.
really figure it out.
But by paying the money, you're able to adjust it basically weekly if you want.
We can do it weekly,
Yeah.
yeah. So, you could give this to a consultant and they can go through and put it through Synchro and come up with a new timing plan for you guys. And that's what a lot of cities will do. But then you're gonna live with that for 7, 10, 12 years. That's why putting in an adapt system, it's a one-time purchase, it's not a yearly purchase, one time, and then you'll have this for the life of the product. We sell a couple of different adaptive systems, based on what the people want, but majority of them, they charge you by day. So you're paying a specific amount per day. This is the one company that really just charges a one-time fee, and then it's the rest of the time you have it. And Nathan, I don't even know if I told you, but we now have all of your stuff in the cloud now, so you can actually go on and look at all your cameras and everything through the cloud. Have you seen that?
No.
So we added it last week, so we'll get that. So anybody here, if you guys want, we'll give you a sign up. You guys can go watch your cameras, get your data, all that stuff through the cloud now. Makes it nice that you can have everything in one spot too.
And the last thing I want to update you on is the polls.
Yeah.
You and I had that first
Yeah.
conversation, and the Union Metal debacle continues to exist. So for everybody in the room that doesn't know this, Union Metal's on their 3rd set of ownership. They make all the poles decorative and otherwise out of Canton. And they had every community anywhere near here, really around the state of Ohio, and some even in PA, where everything was spec Union Metal. Well, they're getting out of the decorative pole business, helping them run leaner, things like that. So they're just making straight steel poles now. And we're trying to get them to say yes or no, are they gonna be able to do these?
Okay.
Or if not, we're moving to another manufacturer by the name of Holophane. So
Okay.
just an update.
Thank you.
We haven't had a chance for them to say yes to us. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Canton, that's where they're located.
Right.
They're actually moving, it looks like, so, because they just can't get any more decorative poles.
Hmm.
they're just doing that to save money, try to save the company. So,
Yeah.
Do any of you have any other questions?
You had mentioned that if you buy the adaptive, that's just a one-time purchase. For you guys to go in and be constantly reviewing these things and adjusting our timings and things, is there a yearly fee that goes along with that? Any kind of,
There's no cost to that.
okay,
That comes with working with Pathmaster, so.
okay,
We have 2 engineers on staff, that's all they do. And we never charge for our support, ever. So you guys bought 3 cameras from us, and for the rest of your life, and you bought controllers, you guys will get free support anytime.
okay.
So you call us, whether come out, or we'll work with you guys over the phone.
And I can personally vouch to that. I've called Tim and Jacob different times for troubleshooting out in the field, and I ask and ask and ask, okay, how much? And nah, you're good, don't worry about it.
You can even
It's
call
part
us
of the
to
deal.
come out and look at something that we didn't provide, but that's probably the only time we would charge an hourly rate to do that.
As long as it's equipment you guys bought from us, we're never gonna charge you for it.
And-
Life you guys own it.
And that's very refreshing, given that everything has moved to kind of a software as a service,
Software.
model where you're paying every year, and,
Yep.
yeah, that's
So,
nice.
That's how we built our company. Our company, we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. And our company was built on supporting our customers. So, our owner gives away a lot of money every year on demos and things like that. But he believes that, if you're nice to your customers, you treat them well, they will always come back to you. And so we live by that motto. And that's why
And we'll throw it out there, at the end of July, we're having a 50th anniversary party. It's an open invitation to all of our customers. We're in Twinsburg, we're not far.
So the way you make your money is selling new systems then?
that's what I'm responsible for, yes. So, we own about 75% of every intersection in the state of Ohio is a Pathmaster intersection.
Wow.
So, our next 2 competitors split up the last 25%. And, we do that by hiring all the people that we need. So, we have 7 field engineers now. So if Nathan were to call Tim or Jacob or Will or Matt or Brad, and they're not available, we still got a few more. We have an engineer on staff that does nothing but networking. We have an engineer on staff that does nothing but central systems. We have another network engineer on staff. We have 2 senior engineers who are knowledgeable on everything. So we hire because when our customers call, we don't want to have them call somebody else. We want to be the answer. So a lot of companies, if you call and ask them for a problem, they'll just call the manufacturer and, hey, get them involved. We never, ever want to do that. We want to be the experts at all times. So, and we just go out and keep hiring people to make sure we take care of our customers, so.
And the systems are one part of it. I mean, the physical hardware and equipment is the other part of that. So there's solutions, and then there's actual physical equipment that we supply.
That all has a lifespan too.
It does,
Yep.
but, and you guys are starting to look at these cameras now. We're hoping these cameras will last you 15 years. 20 years ago, we were hoping these cameras will last 30 years. So, they're making them cheaper. There's nothing we can do about it. It's all about chips, and it's all about memory and everything else. So, when you brought a new camera out, you would hope it would last 10 to 12 years of the sales cycle, and then another 10, 12 years if the customer would have it there now. Now we're seeing 5 to 6 years maximum life of an actual product that we can sell it. And then after that, it'll last as long as it can. And the main reason is because they can't get chips anymore. So they come out with a chip, and then that chip was made for 5 years max, and then they stop making that chip. They now have to come up with a whole new design, so they have to come up with a new camera. So this is gonna get worse rather than better, I can guarantee you that. And I have a lot of customers complain, this is your 3rd camera system you guys have had in the last 15 years. I have to sell something, and they're not making the other one anymore, so, but we always support all the other ones. And a lot of these, when they come out with their next revision level, it'll be backward compatible. So it's not like those cameras aren't gonna work because, should something fail, we're still gonna have something to be able to work with it. It's just that it's a new model now. So that's the most important thing, is they're backward compatible. So that system's not out there by itself and can't be worked on. We can add to it, so.
As far as when we purchase, if we purchase these modules, I think that some of council is concerned, what's the next cost going to be? Is it going to just be nickel, dime, or are we gonna be good for a while with these modules?
I don't think you have anything else to purchase, so.
Okay, that's
so
good.
The big thing for us is, once we got the new controller and communication in there, that's critical. So, and then you guys put the cameras in, we start collecting data, and to tell you the truth, I was shocked when I looked at the numbers. And then Nathan called a couple weeks later and said, hey, we'd like to get a quote on the adaptive system. So, once you buy that, then there's nothing else there to really for you guys to do at that intersection unless, like I was talking to the police chief, if you guys wanted to add preemption down the line. You know, you already have the cabin equipment, there's no cost there. And if the police and fire are already using wheel and core, there's really no cost there because you already have it. We should be able to just turn it on for you guys. So we should give you much better preemption throughout the city. But I think that you guys have the hammer right now. I'm not gonna, you know, when you guys, if it stops working for you, then give us a holler and we can work on it. But I think we could turn that on without even any cost at all. So.
And really, the preemption's just your main corridor. You're never gonna worry about all those side streets.
Yeah.
And beyond that, getting into the smart, connected city stuff,
Yeah, I mean,
but that's,
It's a step in the right
it's 3
direction.
to 5 years away. So
right.
if you guys ever go to Fair Lawn, Ohio, Fair Lawn is our first big corridor that we set up with all 100% connected vehicle everything. I can go onto their website and I can see thousands of vehicles driving live. They get messages from the intersection to the vehicle to the intersection, lets them know when the light's gonna turn red, lets them know there's emergency vehicles, lets them know there's pedestrians in a crosswalk, lets them know when there's speeding in school zones or there's construction zones. But there's not that many vehicles to have it right now, so I wouldn't suggest smaller cities even look at this for another 5 to 10 years. The only reason why we really put it up there is we wanted a test bed, and ODOT was willing to throw $200,000 in to help us. So it's a great test bed now because now everybody around them come in and do testing, and we've already had a few cities come in and do that. So
Route 18 West Market Street is the perfect place for
yeah,
this.
so but I don't think that connected vehicles at least 5 to 10 years minimum before we start talking to smaller cities about it. Smart intersections, a little bit different. We're doing that with Summit County right now, is we're gonna look at putting smart intersections at every intersection in Summit County. And what that includes is that is be an AI device, like what you guys have, Cobalt, which you guys have. And then we would put in preemption, transitional priority, and some other stuff, put it all in Waze, Google Maps, things like that, so that people can start getting more and more information. But 85% of Summit County's already got all that equipment, because they're all our customers. So for them, the lift's pretty small to get all that up and running, and we're working with Farrell on that as well. They're most likely be the fiber company for most of that. So, but I think you guys are in good shape. You guys are in very good shape for a small city. You guys are in great shape. The article that she wrote and put in your guys' newspaper generated about 5 or 6 other mayors calling me. Mountainville,
You get some commission, Melissa.
Mount Eaton. I'm going to see Mount Eaton on Wednesday.
I gave him your number.
So thank you for that, but there are a ton of small cities out there that are really, really a lot farther behind than you guys are. So I think you guys are in great shape, and you guys should be a good 10 to 15 years without having to worry about anything. So no more costs. So that's the best thing.
That's great.
So
Anyone have anything else? All right. Thank you so much.
yeah, I'm sorry that this was a little fuzzy. So
No,
My
that was
apologies.
great.
Hey,
Is that one of those?
we're reporting what you made.
Jump plug it.
Like, does that need to cool off any?
No, no, it's, there's no heat to this at all. So.
I will say, if council is interested in this, we have the money in permissive funds. We would not have to use tax dollars, just
It's not
FYI,
mine, no. So,
whoever's paying attention.
We could do
I
a
heard you.
split or whatever.
Okay.
you should probably wait until a sales guy leaves before you talk about that.
Listen, it's fine.
So, I know Bob, he'll be here. I will be out of you guys' way in less than a minute.
That is a really cool thing. What's it called?
It's a AirPro. So, I bought it, last year at, it's not my last, I think,
We have to
FDIC
put
shut the
them
fire
on
shop.
before
Guys
we
were
can
selling
think
for it.
about doing anything
Two
else.
coolest things
Oh,
in the
gosh,
world.
I didn't know. He
I,
said something with the lighting.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
yeah.
So
He could
that's.
talk to us later about that.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Taylor, you are up next.
I have something for everybody quickly. Sorry.
You get another one?
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. think of me.
Thanks, Taylor.
There you go. Uh-huh. Well, good evening. Most of you know I'm Taylor Reining. I'm the Executive Director of Historic Downtown Millersburg. And I just thought that since we have some new council members, and it's been a while since I've been in, I'd like to briefly share some updates and a little bit about our organization, the work we do, and the role that we play in the community. So I've provided you guys all a packet. You'll find a partnership brochure that goes into a little bit of detail about what Historic Downtown Millersburg does. There's also a downtown rack card that shows our events, and a coupon sheet that is new from last year. They're redeemable at any time at any of the stores listed, and just kind of highlights a variety of local businesses. So just for a little bit of background, Historic Downtown Millersburg, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and our main focus is preserving, promoting, and enhancing the character of our historic downtown. So I am guided by a pretty diverse group of board members. It's made up of community leaders, and they kind of provide me direction and support the work that I do. So we've got a local realtor, Nate sits on our board, we've got some bankers and business owners, building owners, etc., residents as well. So we try to keep a good variety of people who help kind of fit different diverse groups of people. So that group kind of guides me in ensuring that our downtown is continuing to thrive economically, socially, and culturally. So obviously our goal is to make Millersburg a place that people want to come to visit, invest in, and call home. And we kind of try to serve as a connector between businesses, property owners, residents, visitors, and basically everyone in between. So we want to take a very practical and forward-looking approach to strengthening our downtown, and we want to work together to do that with everyone. So in 2025, Historic Downtown Millersburg once again received accreditation through Main Street America. That makes over 15 years of, as an accredited organization. So Downtown Millersburg is one of 821 nationally accredited organizations across the United States. So if you think of all of the little main streets like certified local governments across the United States, that's a lot. And to be one of 821 as our little small community, I think that's pretty remarkable. So a lot of props to everyone before me who got that established, and everyone today who continues to work to make that possible now. So that's obviously the top designation that a Main Street organization like Historic Downtown Millersburg can receive. You cannot go any higher. And so in the packet of information that I've given you, there's a profile sheet that was completed by Heritage Ohio. So Heritage Ohio, they are like our statewide Main Street group. So it goes like your local organization, Historic Downtown Millersburg, Heritage Ohio is the state organization, and then Main Street America is the national organization. So we do our accreditation status through Heritage Ohio once every year. And I have to do some monthly reporting throughout the year, and then we get these statistics and gather them all together. So I think they're really neat. They're not the most accurate numbers, it's just kind of what I can find at the time, but you'll see the economic impact of at least $205,000, some new full-time jobs and part-time jobs created, new businesses, and lots of dollars, both privately and publicly invested in our community. So that's just some good stats that I think are pretty nice to have. And it just kind of highlights our work over the past year. So moving on from that, just a couple updates on our events. On that rack card you can see our list of events. We've got Hop Around Millersburg coming up this weekend. It's downtown business open houses. We'll have the Easter Bunny at Miller's Creamery from 1 to 3, and then he'll be walking around downtown. We've got a downtown scavenger hunt for kids, and then an adult Easter egg hunt. So adults can go grab an Easter egg at multiple different stores, and there's like coupons, gift cards, all sorts of fun stuff in those Easter eggs. And then we've got the First Fridays coming up, which I'll get to that in a little bit. But I really wanted to address Thunder over Holmes County quickly, because that was a topic at your guys' last meeting. So I just, bear with me. The event it's scheduled for the week before, which is Saturday, June 27th. And that day, it'll include family-friendly activities on the courthouse lawn. We've got bounce houses, we've got usually like crafts and activities for little kids, and we've started adding a touch-a truck where the local organizations bring, like Briggs brought a tow truck, and the police department brought a car, and it was really cool, so that's pretty well received. And all of that stuff then leads up to the fireworks display in the evening. I do understand that there has been some disappointment that it's not on the 4th of July, and I truly wish that it could be. However, I think you guys pretty much covered it at the last meeting. Kelly had shared that when I called the fireworks company the week after our fireworks display last year, they told me that they were already booked. So we go through American Fireworks, and they've been a great company to deal with over the years. But yeah, they were already booked last year with the 250th anniversary and all of that. So that was a bummer. But in addition to that, the cost of fireworks on the 4th of July itself is significantly higher than it would be the week before or week after. And we've already seen just about a 50% increase in the cost of fireworks over the past 2 years. So with the prices increasing and all of that stuff, having the event the week before, that kind of allows us to be the most financially responsible while we still try to do the best event we can for our community. So Kelly also shared that we spend approximately $30,000 on the event every year. That is true. It is by far our most expensive event, and most of that is spent on fireworks. So that's just kind of why our fireworks are not on the 4th of July. I know it's a bummer. I'm bummed about it too, but just unfortunately that's just what it is. But anyway, moving on from that, just to look ahead a little bit, I talked about the First Fridays, but April 3rd, we're having our kickoff event, which is actually going to be a downtown recipe tour. So folks can come to the Holmes County Chamber, pick up a little recipe card and a map, and then go to different participating businesses and grab a different recipe card. It might be a Dora drink, it might be a local favorite, whatever it might be at each participating business. So it's pretty cool. We're trying to have different themes for each event. There's a Dora crawl, we're doing a partnership with the dog warden for a Dog Days of Summer event, and just trying to fit different diverse groups around the community and visitors and such. So I'm really, really excited to be doing that. Hopefully it brings a lot of visitors and residents downtown. So that's just a general overview on some things that I wanted to talk about. And now I have a new thing that I would like to just run by you guys. I talked to Nate a little bit about this last week, but I had a group come to me 2 weeks ago, and they are interested in starting a farmer's market. So I'm not sure if you guys remember, but in 2019-2020, there was a small market. It took place behind the chamber. It was canceled in the summer of 2020 due to low attendance, assuming COVID, and lots of different factors played into that. But when this group came to me, I said, okay, let me put out a survey, see what the general community thinks. If we don't get much feedback, then it's not worth doing. We ended up getting over 300 responses, all in favor of having a farmer's market in the downtown area. So I put out a couple of things like how important finding local organic produce like that is, and everybody is very, very in support of that movement. So why I'm bringing this up to you is Nate and I had chatted last week about location. We're still very much in the planning phases, but potentially the location we're thinking about is to have it on Court Street and Monroe Street. So we're looking at possibly having this every other Saturday from like probably 8 to noon. And I guess my question is there any opposition or issues with having those streets closed in the mornings from probably about 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. from every other Saturday from probably May to September, throughout September? When Nate and I talked, we kind of decided that it would be best to run it by you guys since it's all it's going to be a lot and it's going to be pretty consistent. So just kind of want to get your thoughts on that.
How many vendors are you anticipating? Because I know when the last time around, they kind of gradually dwindled away till there was only, 3-4 vendors, something. Do you think you would need both streets for that, or could it all be done on Court Street?
I'm not sure. The electric hookup, like for the food truck, for food trucks, I should say, is on Monroe Street. It's on the east side of the courthouse. So that's why we would probably want Monroe Street as well. I can't guarantee, we'll have a certain amount of vendors. I did on the survey put like what, share your information if you're interested in being a potential vendor, and we got over 40. Of course, that's not going to be consistent every week, but I really don't know what to expect. Like I said, we're still in the planning phase of it, so I can't even, commit to making sure that it's going to happen this year, but it's just kind of where we're at.
Well, I'm gonna say this, so I think it's a great idea. And if somebody's gonna complain about 2 streets being closed, I never understood. Worcester has one every Saturday, and it's a whole street closed, and it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is that this is something I've always said. Things have to be known that something's the same weekend or something's the same. So that's not fair on her to say, it can take, the first summer she may only get 10 vendors. But then that they do great and they post thing can be 20. So I guess what I've seen over 27 years of living here is there was ones before that too. One was in the parking lot up there by Bags. And if people don't show up, then if you keep doing something and people know, then I think it'll grow. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea. I think both those streets is a good idea. If other, I'm sure somebody's gonna complain about me, but other towns shut down roads. So I don't, those aren't Maine. Court Street and Monroe Street are not Maine. You can still get around other ways, and Court Street, I don't think they'll be dropping off prisoners at the courthouse on a Saturday. So,
Well, hopefully not.
so yeah.
Hopefully not.
So I'm all for it, but I think that, 1 or 2 years, somebody says, well, there's only 20. Well, sometimes that can take a business. They say you can't even tell if it's going to be successful until 5 years or 7 years. So I think it's a good idea.
Ideally, we're putting together a small committee that includes some vendors to see what, we want a core group of vendors because we really need a group to stick it out.
Yeah.
Because I think that's part of what happened in the last farmer's market. From the feedback I've received from people who ran it before my time, is just that, there's a hard day or a hard couple weeks and they don't want to return. So if we can put together a really strong core group of vendors, then I think we're probably in good shape. Worcester's has actually been going on for 29 years now, and it used to be like just a little itty bitty thing. But if we don't have enough vendors to close both streets, and it doesn't make sense to close both streets, but just that would be the overall goal, would be to utilize those 2 streets and the courthouse lawn.
The parking lot behind the Commerce, I thought that was a great place before. Why not look at it again?
Well, the feedback that we've received from that one is, it was in the survey and stuff, and I'm happy to share those results with you if you want, but it was just not visible.
Yeah, that's
and
what I was
it
saying.
took up a parking lot. this is what I've received from the survey. So it took up a parking lot, so there goes additional parking, and then visibility was not great, but that's all I really know about it.
And there were a lot of people trying to cross the street there, including myself, and that's a terrible place to try and cross the street.
Would you try to keep the courthouse parking lot open for people to come and go for shopping then, or are you gonna utilize that?
I would like to keep it open, yeah. Just mainly utilize the streets and the lawn.
And Medina Courthouse, I think, has something all the time in the summer. Like up there on the square in Medina, they've got a huge, I mean, they've got vendors and crafts, and so right around their square, on their square.
I know Loudonville holds one, I think weekly.
Yeah,
And they
It's
do
like-
have one
Yeah.
every Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So if they can keep people, you just have
And
to
theirs
stick-
keeps getting bigger.
So if you,
Yeah.
but you gotta, people have to stick with it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It would have to, it's gonna take consistency, and probably, it's gonna take more people than just me.
Because if people only see it once, they think that was a one-time thing, but if they keep continuing to see it, then they're gonna look for it, or they're gonna know.
So overall, would you guys be okay with that being the location, or should we maybe look for something else?
I thought when you moved it there, that was a smart move,
Yeah.
just because,
Yeah.
you know, you look at where the bulk of the traffic is going, it involves south and east, you know, and so that is much more visible,
Well, when
doing
you're
it over
stuck at the
there.
light,
Absolutely.
Right.
then you see the
Grab
stuff
the
over
sandwich.
there.
Hopefully people with the
Yeah.
new lights won't be moving
Yeah,
so
yeah,
fast
yeah.
that
We'll,
they'll miss the
we'll make
farmer's
sure
market.
then that they keep the lights longer there when the, but yeah, but for down there, you're already going past it. You drive and then you notice it, and then it was whether
Yeah.
you wanted to turn back around, or unless you were stuck coming this way. I think it's a good
Yeah,
idea.
absolutely.
We need a motion or just,
I just, so we had previously talked about you guys
Yeah.
giving me authority to do things like this, but this was a
No,
little
I-
bit
I
out of
agree.
the
I-
norm,
I
so
would've
thought,
wanted
let's
to be a
talk
part of
about
it.
And I'd say let's try it
Yeah.
and just go
And we
from
need to
there.
encourage the residents to come to these things, because all this time you're putting in, if the residents don't show
Yeah,
up.
those 400 people that were for it better be,
I did also
Support
put
them.
on there, I'll let you know, I put on, there, are you a Millersburg
Yeah.
resident, a outside of Holmes County, or Holmes County, but outside of Millersburg resident, or a frequent visitor? And we had a very good mix of both. Most, I would say most were, Holmes County residents, so
good idea.
that's what we've got. Okay, so, yeah, if you guys are okay with that, that's kind of what we'll plan on. I can't guarantee that it'll happen, but it's just, right now, we're in the phases trying to figure out what it is that we can do. And eventually, I did talk to the health department, we would like to talk about offering SNAP benefits and, all of those, there's like a senior benefits.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure what it's called, it's slipping my mind right now. But we would like to eventually try to offer those types of reimbursements or benefits or coupons or whatever they may be, so that, everyone has access to healthy food.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, does anybody have any questions for me about HDM or anything in general?
Did you talk about the gift cards?
Oh, I haven't yet, but we are currently in the process of launching a community-wide gift card with a company called Gifty. It's been kind of in the works. Then I had a baby 2 weeks before I was supposed to have a baby, and things got kind of pushed off the wayside. So what it is I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with like going to Charm. There's a Charm community gift card. You can use it at Kime and Charm Artisan Food and Charm everything, Charm Outdoors. So we're working on bringing one of those to Millersburg. I've got most of the businesses have signed up. So what it is it's a digital gift card. So it would be an e-gift card that you could add to your Apple Wallet or your Android wallet or whatever, or you just have it in your email. And you could take it to any other participating businesses and redeem it there. So if anybody remembers Millersburg Bucks, kind of similar to that back in like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. It's been a while, but that was all cash. This will be all digital. It kind of eliminates the cost of having a physical gift card because they can get pricey, but you can have a printed out card that has like a barcode on it that people can scan so you can keep your balance that way. So that's just something cool we've been working on. Nate and I are kind of also working on a downtown business handbook, so it includes certain things that business owners or building owners should know, who to contact for water, who to contact for this, sidewalk ordinances, all kinds of different things that are important to know when you own a business or a building in downtown. So that's in the works as well. That's kind of a general update on what we've been doing, and that's all I've got.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having me.
Yes, thank you. Okay, after all that, we'll get started with our meeting officially, I guess. Can we have a motion to suspend the reading of the minutes, please?
So,
Second.
Vaughn.
aye.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Kellogg.
Aye.
Zollers.
Aye.
Hirschberger.
Aye.
And Shoemaker.
Aye.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Hirschberger.
Aye.
Kellogg.
Aye.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Zollers.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
And Shoemaker.
Aye.
All right, bill resolution 2026-7. Are there any questions on the bills totaling $212,861.94? Hearing none, we have a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
I'll second.
Hofstadter.
Aye.
Hirschberger.
Aye.
Shoemaker.
Aye.
Vaughn.
Aye.
Zollers.
Aye.
Kellogg.
Aye.
All right, Nate.
All right, the design review board will meet April 1st. We have 2 COAs for signage at the Cider Press and the United Way office up at the Chamber Building. Nothing new on the sidewalk project. Parks, we've got, at Airport Park, we got a request from, and this is kind of similar to Taylor's. This is a little different, so I didn't feel comfortable giving the approval without talking to you guys first. The Holmes County Board of MRDD, I guess it's just DD now, I'm sorry, has requested to hold a 3-night pickleball camp for the clients. And the public's invited as well to these mini camps they're doing this year. They're looking at sometime in June or July. They'd like to reserve all the courts, those 3 nights, 2 hours per night. We've not done reservations with the pickleball court, so I thought it best to bring it to you guys to see how you want to handle that. I personally think it's a great idea, but
Does that open the door then for other people wanting to do that?
potentially, yeah. And that's something I'd be willing to broach at that time if we get inundated with requests for court reservations. I'm not real inclined to just do it for a private foursome that wants to reserve courts for 3 hours. But something like this, I think is a different cause.
I have no issue with it.
Okay. I'll let them know, and then she didn't have a firm date in mind, just wanted to see if there's a possibility, and then we'll proceed from there. So Deer Run, another one. We've had discussions about events at the amphitheater, and then that spurred more discussion about liability and insurance requirements. So when we previously met with our insurance risk management advisor, they advised us to any events that are not village events, they need to be providing us with proof of insurance for that event coverage. So like baseball, youth baseball, softball, they all have their own insurance. HDM has their own insurance for events that are held on our grounds or our rights of way, that kind of thing. The amphitheater, the thought is to have a summer concert series. The question is, would those be our events, or there's not really a standalone organization doing this? It's Heidi Barbie, Brenna's mom, is trying to schedule bands or musicians. Do we want to consider those our events, or are we going to require formation of some entity that would then have to get insurance to hold events on our property. That makes sense? I've explained it.
So if somebody falls
Unfortunately,
down,
it's about liability.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it always comes
if
to.
somebody falls down those steps, who's, what, I mean, they say that, you know.
Yeah, so then that's where it would come in, is if it's our event, our insurance covers it. If it's not our event, and we made them provide us insurance for the event, they would be involved. I would argue we'd still be involved because it's our property. Either way, we're gonna be involved with it.
Do we have to go back to the insurance to add that, I'm assuming?
We've talked to them, and
We've talked to them, okay.
that's the answer they've given us, is it your event or not?
Okay, gotcha.
So that's the test.
Oh, so if we say if it's ours, then
So-
it would get added
Yeah.
to our insurance.
Yeah.
They give
If
a
you say,
number.
yeah, we'll be a sponsor, then it can be on our insurance.
I don't believe it's an additional premium.
That's not my understanding, right? That it's included in what we
Yeah.
have right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't cost us anymore
right.
if we went ahead and said that it was our.
Unless there's claims.
Yeah. That changes
There you
everything.
go.
That's what.
Well, I guess we're
Where
trying
is
to
he?
encourage it to be used, and if we are very strict about saying, you know, somebody wants to come in and do a one-time thing, hey, you have to get insurance, that might kind of squash that deal for, you know, that might be a deciding factor for them not to do it. So I think I have no problem with us saying that we're sponsoring, as long as it's not a commercial event of some kind going
Right.
on, but
Giving it a try, I mean, we wanna get people into town, right?
Ideally, there would be a Friends of organization that comes in and would be a 501c3 or whatever that can raise money for hiring musicians and would have the capability of procuring insurance, and that's just not set up at this time. Hopefully it grows into something that is. So I don't know.
I think a question that comes to mind when we call ourselves sponsors is then things like traffic and having emergency things lined up, and just having someone on site to supervise. I don't know how involved that needs to be. Like, literally, I don't know. I'm ignorant about it. I don't know. It just feels like whoever is sponsoring the event would have representation there, and have somebody overseeing things like safety, traffic, crowd control, things like that. So, but again, I don't know for sure. So,
Well, and with it being new, we don't
Yeah.
know how big of a crowd we're gonna,
Yeah.
I mean, it may be great, huge, which I hope it does, but it
right.
may be
Yeah.
30 people.
You had any volunteers working with them to,
I'm not aware of at this point.
They're working on sponsorships to pay for the bands, is what they're working on now, and they were trying to figure out if they could get a 501c3 group to run it through so that people could just pay that group, and then that group could write checks to the band, and then it would make it easier for everybody. But she's been doing a lot of work for that. So far, they're working with Home Center for the Arts is the one that stepped up and said that they would be willing to run the money through them, and they would write the checks for the bands and that kind of thing.
I mean, I don't have a problem. We're gonna be liable anyhow, whether or not somebody has insurance or not. You know, we're gonna be involved in the suit anyhow. At the end of the day, somebody would fall down the steps, still our property, still our problem.
Any
You
other
hate to see it
discussion?
Sit there empty all the time.
Mhm.
It's worth a try, I mean,
You want a motion?
Yeah, I mean, do you wanna help them get going, and then we can
Revisit
Look
it.
at
Yeah, see how busy,
Revisit it
see if they get their
later.
501c together and then go from there. I mean, I would hope that they're gonna, yeah, that there's somebody up there at least monitoring, you know, what's going on up there, so. I mean, I would assume that the way, right now, if something happened up there, like you said, like let's say they're over there, baseball games are going over here, kids are over there screwing around, somebody gets hurt, I mean, that's no different than,
Yeah.
so. Can't live in fear, or fear of being sued. I say we try.
Okay. So we'll, I mean, if you guys wanna make a motion, that's fine, I don't care, but we'll work with them at the outset here and encourage them to try to get something formal set up as this grows, if that makes sense.
Is the first one gonna be in June? Is that what they were thinking, or?
Yeah, I think that's
They
what
were
it said.
trying, yeah,
Okay.
to get,
Okay.
to
So
get
there's
it
a couple-
for June, yeah,
Couple months
so.
that we have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Still working on the grant with the health department for the mulch. Unfortunately, had a little setback with Kaufman having their fire.
Oh,
So-
yeah, how's that?
Did get an extension from the state. The health department confirmed they had a deadline for the end of the month to have the mulch bought. So they've allowed an extension considering the circumstances there. Coalition meeting tomorrow for the housing, United Way Housing Coalition, 8:30 at the Cider Press. A meeting with Envision on, I believe it's Thursday. Go over the draft of their findings, and then we'll set up a time to have a formal presentation to everybody on our housing study. The phone system continues being installed. Had a guy show up last week, put a box on the rack, and that was all he did. And then I'm being told tomorrow is the big switch over, that there'll be people on site to make the switch over to the fiber system. So we'll see. The EPA generator grant, we got word that we were awarded 50 grand for that. We got the gas company lined up to do the gas tap in April. Generator's gonna be the hard part. It's got like a 31-week lead. It's a pretty big generator. So, we're gonna have a supplemental appropriation to present to you guys at the next council meeting for 56,000. The estimate is 55 and some change, so I just made it 56 just to cover everything. 50 of that will be reimbursed. So we're doing a supplemental because we don't necessarily have that sitting ready to go in our funds right now. So if that makes sense to everybody. I thought that's great that we'll get permanent standby power down there for $5,000–6,000. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Submitted our storm cleanup costs to Holmes County EMA today. We ended up around $8,600 according to FEMA schedules here in town. My understanding is everything in the county will be pooled together and submitted to FEMA to see if it meets a threshold for a disaster declaration for potential aid. I'm not real optimistic based on, I don't think we're gonna have enough numbers to get much help, but it's worth trying. So. And then Jason, I did confirm he will be here next meeting. He wants to talk to you guys. I believe you all got an email from him. Did you, about the mitigation plan update? I think he copied everybody on that, right? That'll be presented to you at the next meeting as well, a resolution approving or adopting that. Then we got credit requests for water leaks. We had quite a few coming out of winter. I'll go down through these all. Do you want to do them all together or individually?
All together.
All together? 190 South Alexander, 102,000 gallons used. The pipe was in the lower portion of the home, froze. Ran out the back of the house, so credit of 97,000 gallons for $232.80 for the sewer portion of the bill. Tom Fair, 687 South Monroe, 295,000 gallon usage. Credit for the sewer portion, 290,000 gallons at $696. 975 East Jackson, 72,000 gallons. Credit of 67,000 gallons for $160.80 for the sewer portion. The 241 Trailer Park, 520,000 gallon usage. Sewer credit of 110,000 gallons for $264. 180 West Jackson, 243 gallons used, credit of 238 for the sewer portion for $571.20. 293 Rich Street, 34,000 gallons, 23,000 credit, $55.20. 114 South Crawford, 690,000 gallons used. This was a strange one. The house and the building next door share a meter. There was a line runs from the house to the building. They shut off. They checked everything in the house, nothing was leaking. Went down in the basement and this line going over to the building was just vibrating. So they shut the main off and it stopped.
So,
Somewhere under.
I was gonna say, so we've still got a problem of some kind.
Oh yeah, yeah. So credit of 685,000 gallons for $1,644 for the sewer portion. And then there's one more, came in late Friday. Mary found another one. 736 Maxwell, 75,000 gallons used. $70,000 credit on the sewer portion of the bill for $168. These were all verified leaks that did not go into sewer. Our typical procedure, some of you newer folks, we bill for whatever water goes through the meter, regardless of the leak. We will credit the sewer portion if we can verify that it didn't enter the sewer.
Wish there was a way we could make that one on South Crawford, East Adams, be contingent on them keeping their lawn mowed.
Well, with all that water, it's gonna grow well.
Yeah, it's gonna grow real well this summer.
So is this something that happens like every March or whatever?
Typically over the winter quarters, yeah, you see that a lot.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Hofstadter,
Aye.
Shoemaker,
Aye.
Hirschberger,
Aye.
Zellers,
Aye.
Kellogg. Aye.
I think the only other thing I thought I had put it on my report, but I'm not seeing it. The Worcester Road water line, got the engineer working on the updates to the plans and everything for the federal dollars that are involved. Just updates as far as names and dates, getting everything ready to go. Still planning to work with Susan at Ohio Regional Development to come up with the match for the $400,000 we received through Congressman Balderson. Everything is proceeding on, just plugging away at it.
I want to make one comment. I've gotten several calls about the nets at Deer Run Park for pickleball and tennis.
Yeah.
Contacted Mr. Klein. Next thing I knew, they were done.
So people know, we typically wait till we were told not to put them in when there's freeze thaws going on. This year's been really hard,
Yeah.
so they're good now, but those posts going down into the asphalt, if they freeze and thaw a lot, it busts up the asphalt. So.
They were driving out to the high school or to Loudonville
Yeah.
to play. And
Tentatively, restrooms will be opened up in the next 2 weeks as well at the parks. We don't have heat in any of those buildings, so we really make sure we're hopefully out of the freezing temperatures. But those should be coming, hopefully we catch a break here, warm up and stay warm. Get those opened up. Baseball's starting this week officially, so
Man.
they'll be needed. I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Chief?
I don't have anything.
Nothing? Okay. Bobby?
Don't have anything.
Nothing? Okay, nothing from our solicitor. Committee reports. Bob, you want to talk about your 250th celebration committee?
I have 2 people that are interested. We're going to try to schedule a meeting next week,
Okay,
and that's where we're at.
okay. Do you know when next week?
No.
If anybody, okay.
Wait for them dates.
Dates, okay. All right, that's great. All right, we have legislation. We have a second reading by title only, 2026-4, a resolution authorizing the village administrator to enter into agreement with Aspen Energy Corp. To provide consulting services related to consideration of an electricity aggregation program. Are there any questions? All right, unfinished business. We talked about some things. Our smart traffic lights with Pathmaster. Do you guys want to continue thinking about that? We do have permissive funds available that would not utilize tax dollars. Or what do you guys want to do?
Sorry, you said the traffic light thing is what you said, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Chad, can you shut that door? I don't know who's out there.
We have to leave it open.
Oh,
That's fine.
okay.
Can we just leave one open, or does it have to be all of them?
I was always told we have to leave it open.
Okay, that's fine,
I would
that's
prefer
fine.
you leave them open.
That's fine.
That's fine, okay. Okay, so traffic lights.
Traffic,
I mean,
yeah, the module.
Okay. So since we've spent the money already and it seems like it, we should get something out of it, I would make a motion to vote yes for spending the money for it.
Do you want to use the permissive funds?
Oh, sorry, that was the question. Permissive funds or,
We've
So
got
you-
several different places.
Yeah,
We could
that's something I
take
need
part
to-
of it out of like state highway, we've got 50,000 in there. There's a couple other capital line items, transportation and,
so what do you guys usually, what have you done in the past?
Well, we used the permissive, I mean, I'm trying to think what we did to pay for some of.
yeah, so we did, the last two
And
things were both the
studies.
crosswalks and then a speed study
Yeah.
several years ago.
Yeah.
We should be around 96,000, our balance right now. I can get a firm update on that, but the last, was that the post office or the hospital?
Hospital.
was the last one. No, it was the
In the
post
post,
office.
it was the
Post
post
office.
It was
office.
the post office, yeah. We were at 85 and some change, and we gain about 1,300 a month from it, so I calculated it out, and we should be around 96,000 right now.
So we could utilize 36,000 for this, if that's what you guys wanted to do.
I mean, I thought his presentation, I mean, we're still not gonna be able to stop people going through red lights. We're not gonna
Never,
stop people
nothing
in a
will
hurry, so,
stop that.
so. We've gone this far.
As he mentioned at all, what some of his ideas for the crosswalks are gonna be. or
No,
any
I've not
idea of
heard any
cost.
numbers on potential upgrades for the lighting and enhancements. I don't know. I was hoping to have that tonight, but
And that's a separate issue, I mean,
Yeah.
I just was
Yeah.
curious if.
Maybe our permissive fund will grow by the time he gives us a number. That'd be nice. So you
So
want to
I'll
make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Hirschberger,
Aye.
Vaughn,
Aye.
Shoemaker,
Aye.
Zollers, Kellogg,
Aye.
and Hofstadter.
Aye.
Okay, let me see, we'll go down through here, we have a lot of stuff already done. Deer Run Amphitheater, we talked about that, Worcester Road water line. Street lights, we've had a few people reach out and talk about street lights.
I've seen AEP in town working on streetlights specifically, so
That's good, good sign,
getting caught up.
yeah. No updates on Terrace View or
I'd
the,
like to make, if I can, a
Okay,
comment about
sure.
Terrace View, so.
sure,
So Friday, I contacted the prosecutor's office. I was informed that they are not holding up the Terrace View. The prosecutor told me that he's waiting on the fire chief from Holmes Fire District 1. I called out there and, what's his name, Chief Rafferty, is that how you pronounce it? He did say he has not got all the paperwork done for it. And I don't know if you guys were aware, but the guy that has the place is advertising again for last weekend and next weekend. So, is he really supposed to even be in there, living?
No,
Okay.
probably not.
So, I went over there the other night, and then I came over here, and I believe, is it Officer Cox, told me that something of in the line of, the guy pays the fine to leave the lights on. I don't know what that means.
Matt, do you know what that means?
I do not.
I've heard that.
As far as I know, there's not been a fine up there or anything.
Well, that's what Officer Cox told me Friday night. He pays the fine to, because there's lights in the building and they're flashing and, but anyway, the prosecutor's office told me that he can't give, obviously, legal advice, but would recommend we get in contact with our lawyer to get this thing going, because if something happens and somebody gets hurt, we could be sued. kind of made the suggestion that between getting the fire chief and our police chief together to get this rolling, you know, not that he was pointing a finger at any police chief or anything.
So our solicitor has I've given him this quite a while back.
Are you talking about our
The Terrace View stuff.
the Holmes County Prosecutor's Office?
No, our solicitor.
Oh, your solicitor, okay. So anyway, so I called over because I kept hearing that it's being held up in the courts. And the prosecutor's office says it's not being held up in the courts, it's being held up by the fire chief.
I would question that. I think it's,
I know they don't get along, so.
no, I think it's a lack of effort by the owner to do anything.
Yeah, I don't like it since I'm on the council now. I just feel like the guys are slapping us in the face. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they sneak people in there on the weekends. And I just don't understand, you know, we can't sit over there with cops all the time, but.
I mean, if we know there's an event going on at a certain time, do we have legal authority to turn people away?
According to the prosecutor's office, we do. He said whether or not we actually do it or not.
And we've been up before, and we've told people they weren't to be in there.
Yeah,
and they
correct.
left.
And I don't think it's fair to somebody from out of town to say arrest them, because they have no idea. You know what I mean? They're spending money, but this has been going on for how long now? So I'm just bringing it up because somehow we can get this thing rolling. So, but
There's a big camper up there, so I'm sure they're staying in that camper.
Officer Cox told me the guy's living in there. So
I've heard that.
Reach out to Gilman and see if there's any additional pressure to put on them on our end,
But the
Yeah,
fire
but
chief
the
told me he
court
has to
decided
get something with the state to get it, you know.
He's been
that
working with the state fire marshal about that stuff. as
Well,
far as I know.
he told me on the phone Friday that he's been trying to let them do stuff to fix it, to get it. And I told the fire chief, I was like, this is getting ridiculous. So I was on the phone with both of them, so.
Okay.
I went there because they're advertising again and it made me mad, that's all. So it wasn't against anything anybody here did, just, I don't like that they're advertising again, you know, and then they posted on, you know, so.
Please come to the microphone if you need to speak. State your name and address.
My name's Adam Barnett, and I live at 388 South Clay. I was told, and I've seen the paperwork for it, on Friday, a state fire marshal did go through there and did look around, and he was cited for hazardous flammable environment, whatever that means. So there is that to consider when you go forward with this.
Hazardous flammable environment. Okay.
And I'm just gonna reiterate, when we don't enforce things, it's a worthless piece of paper. So I mean, if our solicitor needs to,
well, we don't enforce fire code.
no, but I'm talking about, obviously, we don't want, why are we involved then? Why are we even involved if we're gonna do
So our
that?
approach was a zoning,
Okay.
from a zoning
Right.
violation that
Right,
the approved use of the property is as post-secondary adult education.
right,
He tried to argue that
right,
it may not be a course you and I take,
So
but
he's
some may
violation
consider
of our-
paranormal investigation
Right.
post-secondary.
so he's in violation of our zoning.
I informed him he doesn't get to determine what a
Right.
approved use is, I do. I'm the zoning inspector.
So you could fine him.
That's what I turned over to Gilman.
Okay, so maybe that's
From
what we
just
need.
zoning.
That's right,
Yeah.
so maybe we need
Yeah.
to make sure we enforce that, of
I'd
that
like,
violation.
I'd like to invite him to a council meeting sometime.
Good luck.
To explain to him, you know,
Yeah.
so please come.
I don't think he's gonna make the trip from Montana.
Well, the guy
The
living
owner lives in
inside
Montana.
though.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, so. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything we can do that affects him having the upcoming events there?
I don't know. I don't know what else, I mean,
I think that's where the prosecutor said to get in contact with,
With our attorney
With
to
your-
see
with-
what
with-
we can do
yeah,
as
with-
far as
Solicitor needs
our,
to call the prosecutor,
yeah,
and then we can
Sounds
get
like it,
verbatim,
yeah.
we can
Yeah.
find out exactly,
what we need to do.
yeah.
let the two
And the
lawyers.
prosecutor represent the fire chief now.
I don't know.
Prosecutor.
I thought that was his responsibility,
What?
that he represents the fire chief.
Yeah. The prosecutor
Prosecutor,
represents the
yeah.
fire? yeah, then he needs to, you know, then our solicitor can, those two can talk.
Yeah. We'll have that conversation with Tom.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on that? Anybody else have any? Millersburg Elementary property. I wanted to talk to you guys about this. The YMCA committee has two possible locations for the YMCA in mind. They are looking at the Millersburg Elementary property, which they have been told by the school board is going up for auction for sure. They have also talked to at least one county commissioner who has offered acreage out by the county home for a YMCA. So they had two drawings done up by Tecton, one for this property and one for that property. And according to the drawings and the engineers, it's gonna be a lot cheaper for them to do it out by the county home because it's flat. And here, it's a lot of demolition, a lot of moving dirt. So their question to me to bring to you was, are you interested in helping them financially in any capacity if they were to try to purchase the school property? If not in a financial capacity, they were wondering about mowing and upkeeping of the property until they're able to do something if they can purchase this property. So it was two questions that they are interested in knowing what you guys would like to do.
Do we have any funds remotely possible?
There's nothing set aside for
Yeah,
this.
financially, I'm not,
I say mowing's a waste of
No.
time.
yeah.
They're already strapped as it is.
Yep.
Mhm.
We have a hard time keeping up when it's grass growing season. It's hard to keep
Plenty of
up now.
landscape companies out there.
Yep,
Mhm.
I agree. I wish them the best, but this isn't our
Nope.
area.
According to Arnie Oliver, they should be able to apply for a grant. And I said, well, what about the separation of church and state? He said there are ways around it, so I think Brody has talked with them, but I don't know where it's gone.
Yeah.
He has talked with them. Okay. All right, I just wanted to know what you guys' thoughts were. I will let them know that they need to figure it out. All right, new logos and reflective chevrons. Where are we at with that?
Nothing new on that.
Nothing new yet? Okay, and the 4th of July committee is gonna meet next week. Any other old unfinished business?
I'll throw something in about next week. I have two bands that will charge nothing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
we'll see where it goes.
Okay, cool. That'd be great. Anything else? Any new business?
Yeah, I want to bring up something, unfortunately. I would like to have somebody else give the information to the local newspaper. Only because in this past week, stuff wasn't in, and I'm not pointing any fingers because I don't have any proof, but
You can point the finger, it's fine.
I don't have any proof, okay? And I'm not one of those people that will, and I've talked to you on the phone about this. We had our meeting last time and it, the marijuana moratorium wasn't even in the story.
The ordinance.
Huh?
It was the ordinance. We voted on the
Yeah, the
marijuana
motion,
ordinance.
the
Yeah.
ordinance,
It
yeah.
wasn't in the bargain
It
hunt.
wasn't in the
Right.
bargain hunter,
That was big
okay.
legislation. That was a big deal.
And it wasn't in there, and I was told that it was omitted accidentally. Who omitted accidentally? I have absolutely no idea. But then when the new part was added, there was more comments of what Kelly said than were actually what was said here at the meeting, which I didn't really know. In the story, you said the reason why you voted for the yes, but you didn't say why you voted for the yes at the meeting.
Well, did you ask me?
Yeah, but on the phone, you said you send everything over to them, and what they do with that is up to them.
Yeah.
So if you send it over to them, do they ask you questions? Is that, you know?
If something, like, for example, when I sent over that we took Ron Kiner off of probation, they called me and said, "Who's Ron Kiner?" And I said, "He's a patrolman." So then they added Patrolman Ron Kiner.
So in this situation, if you send it over and.
So in this situation, I did not send it over. I had a whole list of stuff that I sent, and I sent it over.
Okay.
I've never sent them any legislation that we voted on in here. I don't, it was my mistake that it didn't get sent over there. But then after I talked to him on the phone, he sent me a text and said, someone called, they're upset. So he called me on the phone, talked to me,
Yeah.
and then I sent a whole long thing.
Yeah.
This is everything that happened with the marijuana.
Yeah.
From the original vote, it went to the solicitor drew up the ordinance, and then at the third reading, this was the vote, this is who voted here, this is who voted there, and I sent him everything.
And you told me you broke the tie. Yes. 'Cause
Yeah.
You broke the tie.
Yeah, I did.
But then it says the reason why you broke the tie.
Yeah, that was the reason why I broke the tie.
But you didn't say it in here, though. So that's all I'm saying is that, I know it doesn't seem like a big deal, but
You can ask me at any point in time why I'm voting the way I'm voting. That was the first time I've ever voted as a mayor in here.
but you understand what I'm saying?
I just want to say this. So that was a big deal. That was a piece of legislation that was huge. It was huge because it started with somebody from out of the county, an activist, wanting to know what we were going to do about it. So there was somebody in Richland County watching it. The advisory that Steve paid for obviously generated a lot of feedback from the community. We had standing room only people in here for the meetings. That was a big deal. That was a huge legislation. So I think it should have been in the bargain hunter. I think all legislation should be. I think every piece of legislation that we vote on should be in the bargain hunter.
When legislation is passed, it's always put in the bargain.
So really we had a vote on
applications.
everything. I mean, I think that part should have been in the bargain hunter, what happened.
Well, if all I can say is this, I'll just say it this way because I'm trying to be nice. Thank you for saying that you accidentally omitted it. But that day on the phone when I asked you, you did not want to say anything about that. So that's all I'm saying. So I'll rest at that. So
That's fine.
you said it now, but you didn't say it then. I called you. It was in the bargain.
You
hunter.
said, I'll just get a public records request, it'll be fine, and I said, that's fine, no problem. I said, I'll send you everything I have right
My
now.
first phone call to the mayor was, hey, I just went through the bargain hunter, it was online, and it said everything but the marijuana moratorium. So I called her to ask her, who sends the information over? She said she did.
I
I
did.
said it was omitted. I said, okay. So I called over and asked him, and they did not want to tell me. So the next day, when I was told it was the next day, it was the second phone call that I had, they said it was accidentally omitted. So my first phone call with her, she did not deny saying that she accidentally omitted it. The second phone call is when I said, well, we're gonna need to see your records because I said, I want to clear you, so.
I'll give whatever records you need.
But you've already said that you accidentally omitted it, so. All I'm saying is that when we bring these, since we only have WKLM here, and thank you for being here, when we're giving the information of these meetings out, should we just say what's in the meetings and don't add anything to it, you know what I mean, like?
They all have
You know what I'm
access.
saying, anyway.
They all have access to the YouTube
Anybody can
video,
get
they
on
can
and
watch
watch.
it and.
Because
Well,
I
so-
was just thinking, like, before Kelly sent the stuff to the bargain hunter, what was in the bargain hunter about our council meetings?
Everything but the moratorium.
No. I'm saying,
I'm
saying when Kelly became mayor, she started
Correct.
sending information to the bargain
Oh,
hunter.
okay,
Prior to
yeah.
that, there was never a
Okay,
write-up in the bargain
okay.
hunter.
It
about
just,
the
it just
council
seems a little
meetings,
fishy, that's all
so-
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be mean here, but that was the biggest item. If you listen to the radio, that was the big story on the radio, you know?
I can tell you after 22 years of being here, we used to have 3 or 4 members of the media
Yeah.
at every meeting.
Yes.
And the stories that would come
All
out.
different?
All different.
All different.
And I don't have a problem with that if they're writing it
And
themselves.
we have no control on what
Correct.
they choose to print or not print or
Correct.
I assume that's between you and your boss
What?
as to what gets aired or what.
Well, I understand that, but we
So-
have somebody, so as I mentioned to
My
Kelly on
point
the
is,
phone.
they'll have access to the recording of the meeting. They can determine
Yeah.
responsibly, they should be watching
Yeah.
that to
Right.
determine
Yes.
what.
Right.
They should be
But you gotta understand,
Right.
I just sat through a 8-hour seminar, and we were talking about ethics and ethics and ethics and ethics and this and that, and it just, like I said, Kelly, I hope you acknowledge that I said, the only reason I said, just have to see emails to clear you, and I did say I'm rooting for you, I did not make that up, did I?
Yeah.
I got no reason to not like you, I don't. You know, I just want transparency. Remember, you ran on that 2
I
years
agree.
ago.
And
So,
I'm-
and if you omitted on accident, I'm thankful that you said that.
Yeah.
I mean, I am. I wish you'd have said it that day, but you said it tonight.
I
So
guess
thank
in
you.
my defense, I felt like the people voted and then council voted, and that was when everybody was here. When you all voted, are we gonna have a dispensary or not? That was a 4-2 vote. To me, that was the big news, that 4-2 vote. And then from that 4-2 vote, we had the solicitor draw up an ordinance to not have a dispensary in the village because of the 4-2 vote. So at the last council meeting, that vote was about an ordinance that was written because of a vote that previously happened. That was, are we gonna have this ordinance, yes or no? And then it was half yes, half no. So, in my opinion, the big council meeting, the big news was when everybody was here, when we had a line of people talking, and then when you guys decided yes or no. That was the big news, in my opinion. A vote on an ordinance, like Jason said, ordinances change all the time. Like, if Steve McCrossan puts a marijuana dispensary on the ballot for November of this year, and the village of Millersburg says, yeah, we want a dispensary. We've been educated, we know what's going on, we want a dispensary. That ordinance goes away. So, it was a procedural thing, and I guess I didn't think it was as big of a deal as you did, and I'm sorry that I didn't think it was as big of a deal as you did, but I don't have to be the one sending things in. It's not gonna hurt my feelings to spend time
No, I
doing
understand.
that. If we have
Absolutely.
someone else doing
Absolutely.
that, that's fine.
So, but I want to say thank you. You know, wouldn't have gotten this far if I just would have heard that the other day. So.
Okay, can we put Jessica on that, possibly? Well, maybe not right now, or maybe Mary?
I don't know. I need to
Okay,
think about
Can you
that.
think about that?
I do. I just don't know that reporting for the newspapers is, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. So if it's okay, everybody, I'll just think about that.
Well,
Maybe
then-
Nate and I will talk about it. And
I mean, if somebody from the
I'm not
bartender is
gonna-
not here, we don't have to do it. I mean, it was done, like you said, it was kind of my idea even, I think, that
I'm
it was
not
in the
opposed that we don't do
bargain.
I think as a
So-
resident, if I can speak as a resident, I think it's really nice to have a
yeah.
summary in there.
But I think it
But
should
I
be
also,
everything.
I mean, I don't know.
That's all. That's
Just
all
like
I
I
was
said,
getting
just
at is
let
what
me
she
think about
said. Is I don't care if we. I just want the majority, and to me and a couple of us, we thought the moratorium passing was a big deal of the meeting, and when it wasn't in there, it just seemed like, what in the world? We got all this other stuff, and that's all. So I'm not trying to blow it out of proportion. It just, like I said.
Makes sense.
Why don't we just let if the bargain hunter wants to report on our council meetings, they can watch the video?
Absolutely no
Yeah.
problem with that.
They get the agendas,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if they're getting the agendas, they could have taken it out of the agenda.
they know.
Mm-hmm.
it's
So
on.
that would be the best, yeah, you take it out of the
If it
agenda.
was important, call
Then I
Matt.
guess it's on them if something.
I would encourage them to be here.
That'd be ideal.
Yeah,
That would be ideal.
yeah. Yeah, we had, Kevin used to sit there and
Mhm.
you'd, like you said, there was different media sitting there.
So I will stop. They won't get anything from me this week, just so you all know, and we'll see what happens. All right. Anything else for new business? All right. Anybody have anything for executive session? Then can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Hofstadter,
Aye.
Zollers.
Aye.
Kellogg,
Aye.
Hirschberger,
Aye.
Vaughn, and Shoemaker.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
My phone is way to spend